All right, you guys, I am super, super excited that this resource is done and ready to be used. Okay. I'm going to give major, major props to Jess because Jess was the brains behind most of putting this together. And it is amazing. Okay. So it's our hormone cheat sheet guide. It's based on the first hormone class that we had. But I want to go over with you before I just give this to you so that you can use it. I want to go over some principles as far as sharing a free resource and how to make the most of it for your business. Okay. Free resources are amazing. I'm going to start with that, but it's going to take your willingness to get into conversations about it and dig deeper in order to have growth in your business from a freebie. I can't tell you how many times I've been on Instagram and somebody offers a freebie and I grab it and I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And I never look at it. Okay. That's me. I know Jess is very different, but that is me. And that is some people, right? So we as advocates have to be willing to give the freebie, but also get into conversation and be an advocate for people. Find out what's going on with them. Why did they even want this, right? So I'm going to kind of walk you through some of that. But before I do that, I just want to kind of show you what's inside. I mean, it looks incredible. If you came to the class, you know how well Kelly explained things in an easy to understand way. So, and Jess brought all of that together here. It's very easy to follow. It gets into estrogen and estrogen dominance and what that might look like, signs that estrogen might be running the show. What's messing with your body? Like, what do you need to do? What do you need to be aware of that you can take out of your daily life that could be wrecking your hormones? Love the wrecking ball picture too, by the way. I'm telling you, this is just, it's absolutely incredible. Jess is like a genius when it comes to this stuff. Then it goes into perimenopause, right? What to look for. Are you in menopause? What to look for. And then a quick guide cheat sheet that has common symptoms in the first column. What does that symptom tell you is going on? And then lifestyle changes that can happen. And then the other piece over here, possible supplementation that can help. And you'll notice in that column, we did not give any doTERRA products because that is going to come to you. That piece is on you. They need to know that supplements can help, but the goal of a freebie is value. You are providing them with value-based solutions like stay clear of soy and xenoestrogens, avoid processed foods and seed oils. That is valuable to people, okay? Not everything needs to be tied to your product, but the next step going to be to offer them that help. And that comes with partnering with you and possibly getting started on a regimen that might work for them. Okay. So there's 2 pages of that. And then she breaks it down into what are next steps. Okay. But I will tell you, and I'm going to say this time and time again, that next step is going to depend on your willingness to have conversations. All right. So let's break down why that is. Okay. I need to find my other sheet here. Hang on. Okay. It was literally the tab next to it, and I did that on purpose. Okay. So servant heart selling framework. This is something that I learned, Jess and I learned in the Bob Heilig 30 days to 1K, and it is genius. Okay. So here's how it's going to work. And I'm going to start by putting one principle on here that I want you to always, always make sure. Like, I want you to be saying this like in your sleep. Okay. Hang on. Ask before you give. Ask before you give. All right. Why that's so tiny, I'm not really sure. Bear with me. Hang on. That didn't help. All right. Apparently, I'm not one of those fancy presenters that can like do all of this and have the pen on their screen. I don't have that. So you got to bear with me. Okay. Ask before you give. All right. But where does this start? How do you even find out who might be interested in your offer? Okay. There are 4 pieces to the servant selling framework. And the first one is content. Okay. Posting content, starting conversations, that sort of thing. So this comes here. All right. Content comes first. What content's goal is to be problem focused, right? Like highlighting problems that people might be struggling with, in this case, hormones, right? So I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, I have a cheat sheet, right? No, that's too soon. You want to talk about the problems. What are common things that people experience when their hormones are out of whack? Hot flashes, night sweats, crushing headaches, irregular cycle, mood swings, right? Those are all hormone related things, and you can design content around that. So content is number 1. If you look at my post that I put on Facebook, the day that I'm making this video. It depends on when you're going to watch it, but I put up one that is like relating them back to like if you grew up in the age of Saved by the Bell, if you grew up with the Tanner family, if you had the Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper exclamation perfume, right? Like if you can resonate with any of that, then chances are that your hormones are either already starting to speak to you or they're going to be speaking to you. And then I offer the cheat sheet below. I say comment the word cheat sheet if you want it, right? So my content started like it's pulling interest, right? It's like talking about, okay, if this was your time period, then hormones are an issue for you. If you look back to some of my other content, you'll see that it's very problem focused, okay? So your content is to drive interaction to your page so that you can then reach out to people, all right? So the next step after content, so for all of my people that comment the word hormones on the bottom of the post, the next step is going to be authentic outreach. So this is where you are actually going to reach out to people in conversation, okay? If they comment hormones and that's telling me that they want my cheat sheet, I am absolutely 100% not going to just drop my cheat sheet in the comments and say, here you go. Okay. No, I'm going to start a conversation with them. And this is where we come back to this principle. Ask before you give. I'm not going to start a conversation and say, hey, here's the cheat sheet that you wanted. Let me know what you think. No, absolutely not. Okay. Ask before you give. So what that might look like for me is reaching out to them and saying, hey, I saw that you commented cheat sheet on my post. I need to know, are your hormones already going crazy or are you trying to be proactive before that happens? Right? So I like to use humor when I start that message, like relatable humor, relatable to that topic, but I'm asking before I give anything. They're going to respond. Then next principle is going to be dig deeper. ER. Okay. I'm going to dig deeper. My goal here is to find out their problem. I'm going to put that in green. Find out. Okay. And you do not move on from this step until you have found their problem. Super, super important. Okay. I'm in here. I am in this conversation. I do not get to move any further until I've taken the time to find out what are they struggling with. Okay. Some things that I might want to know with this, like, tell me a little more. How long has this been going on? What have you tried so far? How is that working? Right? Chances are, if they're coming to you, if they're commenting on something, it's not working, right? Like they wouldn't be looking for more help if what they had was working perfectly for them. So you're asking before you give, and then you are digging deeper. You are not moving on from authentic outreach until you've come to where you're like, okay, I have a good, solid understanding of what they're struggling with. Why is this so important? Because number one, you're taking time with them. A lot of times, that's what people are. That is the missing piece for people. You are an advocate. So, your goal, your job is to advocate and be that person by their side to help navigate them through whatever it is they're struggling with. That is missing for so many people. Anybody can sell a product, right? You could go to doTERRA, you could go to another company. Anybody can sell a product, but it is your willingness to be there with them, be their advocate, understand their problem, so that when you do get to the point of assigning a solution, it matches what they were struggling with. If you never take the time to find out their problem, I will never forget that Bob Heilig said this. I'm going to write this up here. A prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. Okay, think about that. If you instantly tell people, oh my gosh, you need to get this Clary Calm roller, and I really think you need to start on foundational wellness, they're gonna be like, what? You don't even know what I'm struggling with, right? That would be like going to the doctor and they just instantly give you a prescription and they don't ever really dig deeper to figure out what might be causing it. So a prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So take the time to find out their problem. It's establishing you as a person of trust. They know now that you actually care about them. You're not just trying to make a transaction, right? And you're going to be there by their side because you care. That's this servant heart selling. You are caring about them, you are serving them, and you are still not getting to your solution because you need to know if they want it. Okay. And then here too, are you looking for help with this? Okay. So content, authentic outreach. And this is if people like the post, love the post, and comment on the post. Okay. If somebody liked that post and they didn't comment hormones, I would reach out and I would say, hey, Susie, I noticed that you liked my post about growing up in the 80s and 90s. You know, are you at the point where your hormones are really starting to creep up on you, or are you trying to be proactive? So it's just a question. It's a question because she engaged. So remember, you're asking before you give anything. Do not give that cheat sheet yet. Get them in conversation. Why did they wanted it for a reason, right? They wouldn't have commented if they didn't want it. They wouldn't have liked it if they didn't want it. And if they were just liking the post because they remember it, okay, that's fine too. But you need to get into that authentic outreach. All right. The next step is value add follow up. Okay. What this looks like in this case, it's the hormone cheat sheet. It's offering them something of value that is not related to your product. Okay. Sometimes that might also look like a tip of like how to increase their protein or, you know, how to make sure they're drinking enough water, like just value advice that relates to their problem, but it is not related to their product. So this is where you can give them the cheat sheet. Okay. You give them the cheat sheet and you say, you know, what I would do personally is I would say, okay, here's the cheat sheet. I want you to pay specific attention to page 4 because it talks about perimenopause, which is based on what we talked about. I think that's where you might be. And look at the chart and find the part where it talks about mood swings, right? So I'm identifying, I'm not just giving the cheat sheet. I'm saying, look for these specific places that are related to your problem. Again, they're going to be like, wow, she cares. She's actually specifically telling me how to use this resource, right? So what do you think they're going to do then? They're going to go to those places because you took that time with them. You're not just handing them a thing and saying, I hope you get time to look at this, right? So, and jot notes down as you're going through this, okay? If you need to rewind it so that you can remember any wording that I said, feel free. But so this is where you give that value. And then from here, this is where you're also going to follow up and say something. Actually, hang on. The next step is share your solution. Okay. Now your solution is going to be related to their problem. Okay. So let's say their problem was mood swings, right? Say, okay, I know I shared the book with you, but I've also met with a bunch of customers already. And we have some things that have been really beneficial for people that are really struggling with their mood swings. Are you open to hearing some suggestions that might be beneficial for you in addition to what I already shared with you in the ebook? Okay. And then they're going to answer that question. But because you've taken all of this time with them leading up to here, you are not going to anymore seem salesy. You're not going to seem pushy because you're matching the solution with what they need. Okay. And it's so much stigma, I think, gets put around with sales and with even with people entering this space. They're like, I don't want to seem salesy. I don't want to seem pushy. But the reality is, the only reason you're feeling salesy and pushy is because you didn't spend enough time in authentic outreach and finding out their problem. If you did, what you're sharing here is matched to this. That is no longer pushy. That's no longer you trying to just make a transaction. That is you truly trying to help solve their problem. Okay. And it hits completely differently. I can promise you, you will have so much better results. Now, the last thing that I want to tell you with this is that I want you tracking this. Okay, track all conversations. As soon as somebody comments or likes or loves my post, they're going onto my tracking sheet. For you, that might be on paper, it might be on a spreadsheet, whatever's going to work for your brain. But the things that you need to have on there are their name. I would even put like, what did they interact with? Like, what piece of content did they interact with? And what was their problem? Okay. Those are like bottom of the barrel. Those need to be there. Anything else that's like helpful to your brain, like maybe other notes, maybe what did you offer, if you want something like that on there, but you need to track the conversations. Not everybody is going to be ready to meet with you yet. We also have the replay available, right? The replay could also be a value add follow up for those people that you're like, I think every woman needs to see this hormones replay. That's another piece that you could share here, but you need to track the conversations, because I will tell you, I have had multiple customers that initially were not ready, but that have come back to me. And I will tell you, one of them, actually, she just enrolled yesterday. Okay. She came to me months ago about anxiety. Okay. But now that the hormone thing came up and she is like in the thick of, she doesn't know if it's perimenopause or menopause because she's been on birth control that's like taken her cycle away for the past 20 years. So she doesn't really know where exactly she's at, but she did resonate with all the different symptoms that I was talking about. Right. So she reached out and now she's ready. And she actually even said, she's like, I know we've talked multiple times, but she's like, it takes vulnerability on my part to be willing to talk about this. And I guess now I'm ready, is what she said. So track all your conversations so that you know where you're at. It's going to make it a lot easier later to follow up with people that maybe weren't ready, to just say like, hey, I know it's been a little bit since we chatted. How's it going with those mood swings? Are you finding any relief with them? Right? That's not, hey, are you ready to get on a call with me? That's truly just like, how are your mood swings going? It's so focused on their problems. So if you don't write the problems down, it's going to be a lot harder for you to go back later and remember all these conversations. So I hope this is helpful. I really think this is so key with anything. But remember the principle, ask before you give. You do not get to give that cheat sheet out. I'm going to make up that rule. Jess and I put it together. You do not get to give that cheat sheet out until you've done this step and you have taken time to find out their problem and dig deeper. All right. Hope this helps. Sorry, it got a little long, but I'm very passionate about this. So good luck.